We started the Martin Family Foundation not really knowing where it would go. There were definitely three things that I absolutely wanted to do with the foundation. The first was to give back. That's the simplest one. The second was to provide a vehicle to teach my children and grandchildren about the responsibility to give back and to use God's gifts in the way that He would expect. And the third was to cause our family to get together 2 or 3 or 4 times a year for that purpose. The pillars that we now have evolved fairly slowly over the years.
Initially, it kind of started out with his passions and what he likes to give to and what he feels strongly about, and he wanted his family to be a part of what he, gave his money toward. Nicole and I were pretty young when it first started, so we only became board members, semi-recently. But it's evolved over the years.
The areas in which we choose to invest, because we do see that as an investment, an opportunity for nonprofits to make a difference in the world, those would be pro-life, faith-based education, service to the poor and at risk, and evangelization and discipleship at large.
You have to realize that when we started doing this, we really didn't know what we were doing. We wrote our first check to Father John Lager at the Samaritan House, which is a homeless shelter for the poor.
And I called up Father John out of the blue and said, "We're John and Marianne Martin. We dropped a check by on Christmas. We need some help. Can we meet with you?" And he invited us down. We sat around the table and we told him we were starting a foundation and we wanted to help. He directed us to 3 or 4 other organizations, and we were so struck by that. Like, he could have said, well, I could use 3 more things here. And instead he said, you need to go look at Arrupe Jesuit High School, and you need to go see the Sacred Heart Retreat House. And so he just was a wonderful friend and mentor.
The Martin Family Foundation is involved with dozens of organizations, with mostly faith-based organizations for education. John Martin became involved with the Arrupe Jesuit High School in 2003. Every student works 1 day a week. They earn part of their tuition. Most students are low-income Hispanic students from all over Denver, and most are the first to graduate from high school, let alone the first virtually to go to college. And John is involved with the Fellowship of Catholic University Students. It's called FOCUS.
One of the first initiatives of the Martin Family Foundation was Right to Life. We've assisted 14 pregnancy centers to get started, give them the funds, and met with their board.
A part of that philosophy is also learning how to realize something that truly does make a difference. I mean, it's easy to give money away, but I felt it was important to do more than just give the money away. I felt it was important to give it away purposefully, intentionally, and with the intention of having it do the most good possible. The Sanctity of Life, one of the cornerstones of our foundation, really is our effort to try and be an antidote, if it were, to the culture of death, frankly, that permeates our nation today. We want our foundation to help any organization that is committed to the sanctity of life from the moment of conception to the moment of natural death. Education is just a vital link in a human being's life. The better educated they are, the greater the chance that they will succeed in becoming, fruitful members of society.
Faith-based education gives us a chance to form the whole child. When I see schools like Arrupe Jesuit High School, places where those children grew up without great role models, they weren't served well in their public schools, it's amazing how their lives can change just by having them educated with role models that teach them that they really do matter, that God intended for them to grow up and to serve Him also.
Another pillar of our foundation is serving the poor. This is about as basic as it comes for our Catholic faith. Jesus Himself chose to come into this world pretty much destitute. And then He lived His whole life serving the poor, telling His church to be a church for the poor. We have a real obligation to do what we can to reach out and serve the poor. not only with money or with food or clothing or shelter, but with means to help bring them a spiritual care as well. Caring for the poor spiritually is just as important as caring for them materially. We also try to encourage our family, our members of the board, and ourselves to go and reach out to and actually touch them and relate to them as children of God, which they are. The Catholic Church truly exists to deliver the good news. Jesus says, preach the good news. Tell everybody that you can be saved, that you can find happiness, you can find rest in me if you just let Christ into your heart. So when we can help organizations or people and actually do this ourselves, we feel like we're really listening to those last words that he told us before he left us on earth, and that is to go therefore and make disciples of all nations. In the years ahead when I'm not here, I would never want to see our foundation support any organization or cause or project that does not honor the sanctity of life relative to abortion, euthanasia, assisted suicide, or anything similar to that that goes against the teaching of our Catholic Church. I know I personally believe, and I would want our foundation to support the belief that marriage is between one man and one woman. My number one goal now, at my age, I wish I had realized this earlier in my life, is to help my spouse, my children, my grandchildren, my friends get to heaven. It's just that simple.